Hey, how's it going, guys? My name's Tujin. Welcome to MBT Studios, and today we have 3 headphones that are worth more than my car. No, seriously. Today with me, I have the original Abyss Diana, the Diana V2, and the Diana Phi. These retail for about $10,000 USD altogether, the Phi being $4,000 USD, the original Diana and V2 being $3,000 USD at MSRP. But I have no regrets. So this video in particular would not be made possible without the help of my friends at Audiophiles Anonymous. It's a collective of audiophiles in North America. Neil, Wilson, thank you so much for lending me your headphones. I've been having a blast. So today in this video, I'm going to talk about my experience with all 3 headphones, my impressions, do a comparison, really talking about the differences with all 3, and really talk about what you get when you spend this kind of money on headphones. So let's start with the build. Abyss Dianas are honestly setting the standard with top-of-the-line headphones. Seriously, there's no flagship headphone built to this degree and inspires the amount of confidence that I have, at least with these headphones in particular. So the chassis itself is CNC'd aluminum. The driver is built in-house. The pads are essentially magnetic leather pads on a spring steel band that is painted with a ceramic coating. Now, if I were to nitpick, my only big peeve, I guess, or annoyance is the paint. Over time, it does wear or chip, and that might be attributed to the carrying case that has zippers, which makes it a tight fit that might actually scrape the headphones. But other than that, these guys are setting standards, from the Fibonacci grill to the recessed 2.5mm jacks with the custom cables sitting in nice and flush. These are small details that just add up to an incredible experience. And with the weight being nice and light, this is a planar that has almost the thinnest and most normal headphone-like appearance out of any flagship I've seen. And they do sound like a flagship. Don't get me wrong with that. Now, in terms of comfort, there are some issues. Now, if you have a regular head, small head, these will fit you just fine. You can listen to these for hours, no problem. But if you have a bigger head, you may find that against your temples, you'll find some pressure as the clamp is quite high. Now, there is a solution to this. One is manhandling your headphones. No, seriously, you're going to take your $3,000, $4,000 headphone and manhandle them and essentially reduce the clamp by bending the spring steel band. Another thing you can do is adding AKG padding at the top. So these are from AKG K553s. It's about $7 on Amazon or eBay. And you add them on and essentially turns a 2-hour listening session before I get any kind of fatigue or discomfort to hours and hours on listening bliss. So in terms of sound, this is where it gets interesting. So these have incredible resolution and these drivers are unique. So typical planars are essentially a thin diaphragm with magnet bar structures on each side. You can get a single-sided magnet structure or a dual-sided magnet structure. Now, what makes this headphone different is that the actual magnet bars, it's not actually bars. They essentially CNC an entire magnet to work to essentially move the diaphragm. And the sound that I get from this headphone is very different from any other planar I've heard. Not in terms of speed and, transient response. Yes, it's incredible off this headphone, but the bass response is especially amazing. No, seriously, like when I have these headphones on, I think I'm listening to my 2.1 stereo setup. I feel like I have a subwoofer on my head. And, while that, the bass is super fast, almost like a REL subwoofer, the extension is incredible. And it pressures my ear the way a subwoofer would. Now, so I could be listening to bass-heavy tracks, and I could literally put my fingers against the grill and feel the air being moved, which is something that, I don't typically get from planar headphones, especially not to this degree. And, it does all that without being bassy. So, yeah, that's really impressive. Now, in terms of the mid-range, it is forward in presentation, but what it does really well is that it layers incredibly well. So you get incredible resolution, and although it doesn't have the widest soundstage, you don't feel like you're losing information when compared to something like HD 800s. Yes, you get more spatial information per se with HD 800s, but because there's such good layering and the transient response is so fast with these Dianas, it's just incredible. Now, this is where the headphones start differing. The original Diana is what I would consider more of an analytical headphone. It really is revealing, so if you're playing, poor recordings, you are going to hear that. And it's something that you need to pay some attention to with the back-end components. So with this headphone, I like using R2R DACs to really get rid of the digital glare with my music and, get longer listening sessions without any fatigue. Now with the V2, it's a different story. The V2 is a more laid-back or more fun presentation. It still has, relatively the same resolution and, the very attractive bass response, but it's something that you can put on your head and enjoy for hours and hours with no real fatigue, almost like Sony Z1Rs when I compare the experience, although incredible resolution and the speed that you get with planars. Now, there's one thing that I need to mention. When you have headphones this expensive, you want to get the most out of them. You don't want to nerf, bottleneck, or really ruin the experience and, not get the full potential out of these headphones. And these headphones require a decent amount of power. Seriously, like I had to really redo my entire back-end electronic components to really get the most out of these headphones. And I would recommend more than 2 watts of power realistically. I find that the original Diana and the Diana V2 need a bit more juice compared to the Phi. And it's only once you start feeding them enough power, wattage-wise, you get the incredible bass response that I'm talking about. So personally, what I used was an original ship Mjolnir that does about 8 watts, but then I upgraded to the Ragnarok 2, and that just made the authority on the bass even more substantial, to be quite honest. So that's something that you're going to find with any of these Abyss headphones. You really do want to have the back end relatively, on par. The V2 you can get away because the tuning is so forgiving that, as long as you have more than 2 watts, you're going to have a blast with. Now the Phi is where it gets interesting. So the Phi has that same Abyss house sound, but the driver is completely different. It's essentially from their flagship 1266 headphone that they basically had for about 6 years, but there's been so many revisions. And, Abyss had that headphone, and honestly, when I first heard of Abyss, I thought they were some emo company, and the Abyss 1266 honestly looked like a torture device. Let's be real. It's only when the Dianas came out, I was like, whoa, what are these? Because these are headphones that actually look like headphones and inspire, honestly, my attention in terms of its sleek design and whatnot. But yeah, so with the Phi, what you're getting is the 1266 flagship driver jammed into the Diana enclosure. And that has more resolution. Seriously, there's more detail with the Diana Phi, but there's a catch. To really get the most out of the Diana Phi, it's not like the original Diana or the Diana V2. The components that you use with the Phi really scale the overall performance. So yes, the Phi is going to cost $1,000 USD more, but to really get the most out of it, you really do want to spend some money on some upscale components. And yes, it is a headphone for the enthusiast. All of these headphones really are. In fact, when it comes to the overall value, price per performance, I would give it to the V2s. And if you can find original Dianas at a discounted price, seriously, you should try them. But the V2s or the entry level are the sweet spot. And honestly, when we're talking price to performance, really you're at diminishing returns. Any flagship is diminishing returns. If you want the best bang for buck, you would have to get some Sennheiser HD600s and just stop there, really. But if you care about the technicalities, the overall resolution, and experiencing your music in the best possible manner besides live, these are the headphones to really get. And the Phi just take it to another notch. They are slightly wider in soundstage, but still forward in presentation, with incredible resolution and, easier to listen to than the original Dianas. Because the original Dianas, regardless, are, a bit more analytical and come off slightly bright in presentation. But overall, these headphones are just incredible. Now, obviously, there is some drama with Abyss with their measurements, and quite frankly, I don't really rely on the graphs too much. I don't let them dictate my, decision on whether or not I want to try or purchase a headphone, because graphs don't show the full picture, and these headphones are something that you just really need to try. Obviously, don't buy a headphone blindly unless you have the moolah to do so. But if you're someone like me, try them out, because you never know what you're missing out on. And these Abyss headphones are really something else. Just on build quality alone, I feel like these are incredible value, because I can't say that most planars or most top-of-the-line headphones can last me the way these headphones do. From the magnetic slider to just the overall, flexibility of the headband and the fine details. It's something that is handcrafted, but handcrafted so well that, when I compare all three Dianas, I don't see any real deviation. It's just really well done. And I want to give Abyss the shout out that they deserve, because whether or not you like the price, you're not going to find a headphone built and performing the same way these do. So yeah, I really do recommend the Abyss headphone if you're looking for a out-of-world experience and you really want to try something new. Really, like if you really want a portable, high-end audiophile setup on the go, this is it. Despite being open back, there's really nothing that comes close in terms of build and the overall resolution that you're getting. So that basically wraps up my review. If you guys have any questions, leave a comment down below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.